South Park's 10 saddest moments, as beloved characters face heart-wrenching challenges that tug at your heartstrings.
It looks like the car's filling up with water. Yeah, think maybe now might be a good time to come back inside the car and drive, Mom.
From tear-jerking goodbyes to heart-trending betrayals, this journey through the animated world's poignant side will leave you reaching for tissues and contemplating life's complexities. Stan's grandpa spent $1,000 on a magnificent gift for his grandson in a distant location. Stan's decision to sell the beloved possession to a pawn shop revealed a heartbreaking truth. The item was almost nothing. The 14-karat gold, diamond, and turquoise piece sold for $15. This innocent incident revealed a labyrinth of lies and deception to the innocent children. They discovered a vast multinational network that made, sold, and recycled fake jewels.
Oh, look at that! A bolo tie! Isn't that beautiful, Stan?
Grandpa, how much did you spend on that? $6,000. It's worth $50,000. The Jewels and Gems Shopping Network said so. Dad, you shouldn't be spending your retirement money on frivolous things.
These cruel con artists used shopping channels to deceive the elderly. Stan's grandpa had Alzheimer's, a horrible disease that left him confused. Oblivion was silently stealing once cherished memories. Despite the magnitude of the swindle and the chances against them, the kids loved and cared for their grandfather. Stan, in a touching act of kindness, decided to make the trinkets useful for his sick grandfather. He did so to briefly revive the old man's joy and recognition. Stan and his grandpa's story is a melancholy reminder that love and exploitation coexist in a delicate ballad of emotions. This journey taught the children that love and care are what make things valuable. In a small town, Butters, a sweet blonde kid, becomes the unwitting target of Cartman's cruel pranks. Little did Cartman know that one of his pranks would go terribly wrong, leaving Butters' parents devastated by the consequences. Struggling with his own identity, Butters confides in his parents about his feelings. Unbeknownst to him, they react in a way that adds to his confusion, deciding to send him away to a strict Catholic camp, hoping that it would cure him of his supposed confusion. Within the walls of the camp, dark and heart-wrenching events unfold. The innocent kids who are merely seeking answers find themselves subjected to harsh indoctrination. The camp staff force them to chug down Bible verses. It's difficult to witness the plight of these young souls, no matter how humorously the camp's twisted beliefs are portrayed. Amidst of the chaos and confusion, Butters clings to the love of butter, finding some solace in the familiar taste. However, his confusion reaches a breaking point, and he contemplates hurting himself as the weight of the situation becomes overwhelming. Thankfully, Butters finds the strength to confront his own uncertainties and take charge of his life. Just in the nick of time, he manages to escape from that oppressive environment, and a glimmer of hope shines through the darkness that once enveloped him. Despite the sadness and the pain that lingers, Butters' journey towards self-acceptance offers a powerful testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The McCormicks lived in the poorest house in town. In the 15th season, Kenny's poverty-stricken life with family troubles and violence was revealed. A police raid exacerbated their misery. After this turmoil, Child Protective Services separated Kenny from his adored siblings. Kenny became Mysterian, a symbol of hope and courage, to protect his sister from the brutal world. Kenny's strong protection of his infant sister shone through in the darkness as the siblings left their once tainted home. Kenny fought poverty by working hard at an unappreciated job during gentrification. He saved every dime to give his sister a treasured gift and protect her innocence in the chaos. Despite their misfortune, Kenny's unwavering dedication to his sister's well-being moved people who heard the story. His selflessness and sacrifices showed the power of familial love even in the worst times. This episode explores different characters' hearts rather than the usual causes to cry. She and Stan reunited unexpectedly, giving her hope. Self-image difficulties plagued the females at school, casting a dark shadow. Media and celebrities' unachievable beauty standards trapped them. Overwhelmed, the girls use fraudulent photoshopping to change their social dynamics. Wendy speaks out against her colleagues' delusions in this melancholy setting. When Stan unexpectedly requests a modified Wendy image, her spirit falters. As her sorrowful tears fall with each click, the moment grows heavy. This touching tale depicts vulnerability and the crushing effects of social expectations. It makes one think about acceptance's cost and sadness. Stan, a broke man, grudgingly coaches a kindergarten hockey team in an absurd parody of Mighty Ducks. He doesn't realize that this seemingly harmless activity will end badly. Stan, unprepared, experiences a roller coaster of emotions as the incident develops. Hilarity and sad insights on his hardships and illness-related burdens mingle. The sorrowful subplot creates a dark and heavy tapestry, making it hard for Nelson, the protagonist, to find solace or amusement. The long-awaited opposing team fails to appear at the story's finale, leaving the future uncertain and unresolved. Stan struggles to fulfill Phil Nelson's ultimate wish without a showdown. They take an unprecedented risk. Despite their bravery, the enemy team proves too strong, and all hope seems lost. Stan and his team face an impossible uphill battle, casting a melancholy shadow over their goals and aspirations. In a twist of fate, Wendy decides to end her relationship with Stan abruptly, leaving him in a state of profound sadness. Unbeknownst to Stan, she withdraws all communication, leaving him feeling lost and isolated. As their mutual friend Kyle becomes tired of being the intermediary, Stan takes a leap of faith and turns to his old friend Jimmy for comfort, mistakenly seeking solace in familiar memories. Observing Stan's melancholy, his circle of friends grows concerned about his well-being. They decide to take him to Raisins, hoping to divert his attention to other girls, but Stan remains detached and distant. Meanwhile, an unexpected shift occurs as Butters becomes entranced by a charming redhead girl. Misinterpreting her friendly gestures as the start of a connection, he falls deeply in love, only to experience the same heartbreak that had befallen Stan before. In this web of heartache and longing, each of them discovers the painful depths of their emotions, and the journey of unrequited love begins to unfold. On his 10th birthday, a storm of unanticipated changes left him depressed. His favorite, once joyful song now sounded discordant and distant, signaling a downward spiral. South Park's animated world depicts the inevitability of aging as a journey full of surprises and surprises. As his world shrinks, Stan becomes a cynic, unable to enjoy anything. Stan's sadness wears down his connections, leaving them shattered. Love becomes an unrequited longing and an aching in his heart. Stan dreads the changes, but life doesn't care. Every reflection of his former joys now coated with a frigid blanket of time, generating a landslide of emotions like an uncontrollable force. Stan struggles with the unsettling uncertainty of his emotions during these turbulent transitions, painting his world with a melancholy and somber color that touches people who watch his problems. Inspector Butters discovers his father deceived his mother about an anniversary gift in a tiny town. He is shocked by the incriminating photos. After learning the truth, Linda, his mother, is overcome with despair and becomes fanatical about cleaning to erase the anguish. However, the sadness becomes a furious fury that even Steven, seeking to protect Butters, can't control. Linda's wild and resolute voyage to Stark's Pond is like a psychological horror movie. Butter takes comfort in his innocence until their parents confess in front of the town. His naivety is pierced by the discovery, and he understands their plight. Butters eventually finds peace, but the haunting memories of that fatal trek to Stark's Pond and the gloom that surrounded his family remain, leaving all who saw the tragedy with a bittersweet regret. In a quiet little town, Kenny's passing came as a sudden shock, a tragedy that had always been taken lightly before. However, everything changed with this heart-wrenching episode that sealed Kenny's fate indefinitely, even if it was only for a season. Slowly withering away from an unnamed ailment, Kenny's condition was unbearable for the other kids to witness. Stan, overwhelmed with emotions, found it too painful to stay by his side and sought solace elsewhere. Even Eric, who had been engaged in a fierce rivalry with Kenny, had a moment of compassion that rendered their conflicts meaningless. As Kenny's life ebbed away, he desperately clung to the hope of being beside his friends once more. But fate had other plans. His recovery was too little and too late, leaving his friends and the entire town in a state of melancholy, grappling with the loss of a dear companion. In this touching episode, the story has amusing and incomprehensible subplots. While laughing, Stan's melancholy is shown. As the novel progresses, this enormous sadness turns into numbness and guardedness hidden by fury and isolation. A soul drowned in despair by terrible circumstances. It struggles with new feelings, confused and lost. The world is graved by acceptance's sluggish, conformist course. The emptiness inside pleads for something to soothe the ache. Unfortunately, booze and wrath become his crutches to soothe his inner agony. His trials, losses, and lessons are ultimately insignificant. His life feels controlled by outside forces. He drifts aimlessly and eventually accepts the heartbreaking circumstances that demolish him. Stan's sad story shows the raw reality of a soul struggling to survive in a world that drives him to the edge. The audience feels his pain and longs for optimism in the midst of tremendous sadness, swept into his emotional maelstrom. Thanks for watching. Kindly subscribe to our channel for more.